Outside is a deeply meaningful and personal album to me. Every song is filled with pride and passion, but there's also a bittersweet element as well, knowing they've been waiting for their moment for longer than I expected. Life has its own pace, and sometimes creativity takes time to find its way. Let me take you back to 2004, right before the release of our debut album, Where Memories Combine. At the time of that release, I had been working on several songs that just weren't ready to be on the debut. The idea was to release an EP which would quickly be followed up by our full-fledged second album called The World Outside. I got the idea when Nevermore released their first album, then quickly followed that up with their EP, and then went right into making their next follow-up. The idea here is to keep the momentum going. But recording Vibrant Sound and The World Outside were both exercises in frustration. Maybe one day I'll talk about it, but now isn't really the time. I will say that I'm just very happy that these particular songs have finally seen the light of day. I will say that since the beginning, Cea Serin started off as just myself and Keith Warman on guitar, as well as handling the mixing and mastering. Later on, we hooked up with Rory Fashon, who handled all the drums and percussion, and it was that way for a long time. Now, we had live versions of the band as well, and we've had members kind of come and go, but the studio version for the band has for a long time been just the three of us. However, it became obvious over the years that it was taking too long to record stuff and get things done with the current incarnation, so I made the decision to start using guest musicians to flesh out the lead guitars. For this album, I actually played all the rhythm guitars, acoustic guitars, most of the themes, as well as handling the bass, upright bass, keyboards, vocals, stuff like that. Rory did all the drums, as well as recording the drums on his end, and he did a fantastic job as always. For the lead guitars, I decided to outsource things and make a call to some of my favorite soloists. I really wanted to take a page from how Yanni did his live albums and the way he utilized these amazing musicians from around the world. For the most part, I had the wonderful talents of Andy Gillian from the UK and João Miguel from Portugal. They're both not only phenomenal musicians, but had that melodic and technical ability that I admire in lead players. I'm always attracted to lead solos that combine this element of singing on the guitar as well as a fair amount yet balanced approach to shredding. You'll soon see there are other guest musicians that pop up to show their talents throughout the album. While I'm on the subject of the album itself, the name of The World Outside was first inspired to me after watching the movie called Ratcatcher from 1999 by director Lynn Ramsay. It's set in Glasgow, Scotland, and is centered around a young boy growing up in a rather poor district facing a rehousing scheme. At a certain point in the film, the boy takes a bus to the outskirts of Glasgow where he's told there is a site of new homes being constructed. He takes a personal tour of one of these homes and gets to look around the state of things still under construction. There's sinks yet to be installed and toilets still not connected to plumbing, incomplete walls, etc. And then he comes upon a window. This window looks out upon a vast, beautiful field of blowing wheat. So there's this moment where this boy, who's only known the slums of where he's been growing up, finds himself in this house, also still under construction, looking out upon this serene landscape. He takes a moment to take it all in, alone in the quiet. Then, as anyone would do, he escapes through the window and runs out into the freedom of the field. That scene, as beautiful as it is by itself, always reminds me to never lose context of where we are, what we can see with our own eyes, while also taking into account what others tell us and want us to think. There are certain times when it seems all we hear is doom and despair. It seems the news wants us all to believe the sky is falling every day, that there's death, disease, violence, and injustice around every corner and behind everyone's intention. But if you just take a look outside for yourself, you might find that things aren't as bad as certain people want you to think. The point is that I don't believe pain, violence, and injustice is the norm here. I think it is the exception. I may be optimistic about humanity and its march towards progress and innovation, but I'm also a staunch individualist. I find myself drawn to individualism over collectivism, and this has found its way into many of my songs, especially these new songs. It's not that I'm against cooperation, it's that I am more against groupthink and pressure from the collective to do what they want. And that is the basis for Where None Shall Follow. I've had one scene in mind for that song, and it is a long road with a stretch of people walking in line. The road stretches on, and the line of people seems to go on forever. But there's one person that begins to question where they're going and why. This person breaks free from the line and chooses to go their own way. People around him question his motives, tell him he's wrong, but he doesn't care. He has made up his mind to go his own way. So when you listen to the song and pay attention to the lyrics, try to keep individualism in mind. The power of not just the individual person, but the power of one idea that goes against all others. Having the courage to stand by your beliefs even when the masses are berating you for going against the grain. The world has always tried to silence those who dare to be different, to pull them back into the safety of the collective. But progress was never made by those who followed without question. It was made by the dreamers, the rebels, the ones who refused to walk a path already paved. They were told they were wrong, but without them, nothing would change. Individualism is not easy. It is a struggle, a battle against conformity. But for those who have the courage to stand alone, to push forward despite the voices telling them to stop, that is where greatness is born.